Hey, what's up? I want to talk a little bit about why it's important to do things that scare you. This is kind of a long story, so bear with me, but I'm going to tell the fastest, shortest version of it that I possibly can. So about a year ago, I was cast in this movie. It's a big Western epic where I'm playing a 19th century cowboy. It's very exciting. It's a very big project. It's very cool, very fancy. There are a lot of cool, fancy people attached to it and acting in it. The director is a very big, cool, fancy person who is also acting in it. And when I got the call from my agent about me potentially getting the part, they asked, "How are you on horseback?" And I just told them straight up, like, I don't ride horses. I'm not good on horseback, but I figured I could probably figure it out if I had like 4 or 5 days to work with the on-set wranglers. Literally in my brain I was like, how hard could it be? Little kids ride horses. I'm sure if I got 4 or 5 solid lessons, I could fake it well enough to make it look like I can ride horses in the movie. I just didn't know at the time how much I didn't know about riding horses. Long story short, by my first day riding a horse in this movie, I had only had one lesson, and it was like a little half baby lesson, just walking and steering, very basic stuff. But on my second day riding a horse in the movie, they found out that I had no idea what I was doing really quickly when they asked me to lope across the field to this wagon and say something to somebody and then lope back, and I had no idea what lope even meant. It was kind of a total disaster, and the stunt team was pretty upset with me, and they were trying in a pinch to teach me how to get a horse into its top gear, even though it was only the 3rd time I'd ever ridden a horse, and I was doing very poorly at it. I was flopping all over the place in the saddle, and I looked really, really scared and uncomfortable because I was really, really scared and uncomfortable. And then I started having a panic attack on set in front of all these cool, fancy people, and that was just kind of a nightmare. Now, this Western movie that I was cast in is the first in a series of 4 films, and I was hired to be in the first 2 films. And on the last day of filming for movie 1, I went up to the director and I said, I promise I'm going to be better at riding horses by the time we start shooting movie 2. And at that time, I had 6 months till movie 2 started shooting, so I had 6 months to figure out how I was going to keep that promise. I hired a private riding instructor in LA and started working with him. I had been pretty traumatized by my experience on the first film, and every time I went to go ride a horse, I would have massive anxiety. I would wake up sick to my stomach, just terrified every single day. It became a real psychological block and a real problem. The only thing I could continue doing was showing up day in and day out for my lessons. Even though it didn't feel like I was making any significant progress, and even though every time I woke up on the day that I had a lesson, I would be filled with this like sickening fear, I continued to show up, and that's kind of all I really could do, is continue to offer myself to the process and be open to it. I was honestly telling friends and family and like my therapist that there was a big part of me that just wished they would fire me or hire someone else so that I wouldn't have to worry about figuring out how I was going to get through this. Again, all I could do through this whole process is just continue to show up, despite how embarrassed I was, despite how insecure I felt, despite how afraid I was. All I could do is just keep showing up. And I honestly didn't know if I was actually going to get any better, if I was actually going to develop any new skills or develop any more confidence or comfort in the saddle. I didn't know if I was going to be able to keep my promise. And I'm sitting here in my hotel room, and we are 2 days out from our first day of shooting on movie 2, and this video was taken just 2 days ago of me riding with our stunt team down here. And it may not look like much, but honestly, I have not been as proud of anything in a really long time as I am of this video. This video says to me that I am capable of doing hard things. I am capable of doing things that really scare me. Things that scare me so much that they make me physically sick. Things that scare me so much that they cause me to have full-on panic attacks. I am capable of meeting that fear with respect and moving through it one step at a time, and coming out on the other side of that fear as a more confident and stronger version of myself.